So what's the solution, man? Once again, I'm gonna go ahead and confess. I just came home from prison 16 months ago. I don't know. You know what I mean? But that's not the point of the episode. I'm not just complaining and venting about the problem churches and how I feel like it's more business than kingdom. That's not what I'm doing. I do have some takeaways that I feel like can be aids, to the problem, that can be part of the solution. But I just want to again say in humility, you know what I mean? I'm figuring this out as I go. But they always say that what pisses you off is tied to your purpose. So I know that this pisses me off deeply. And I'm trying to skate through this episode, y'all. I'm trying to be super gracious and merciful and loving and you know what I mean, not be too in depth just because I don't want to indirectly speak against nobody or anybody in general. I'm just trying to address the issue at hand. Um, but so once again, man, I'm just keeping it 1,000. Like I don't know the answers, but I do know since I've been home, a lot of the stuff, doesn't sit right with me, and I don't think it just doesn't sit right with me. I think it doesn't sit right with a lot of people in the church, a lot of believers, and I think that's a big reason why a lot of people who don't go to church or even unbelievers like won't even step foot inside a building. It's because they see it from a mile away. It's fake. You know what I mean? And sometimes, man, I honestly can go to some of these buildings and I just get disgusted, man. I can still like focus on the Lord and worship and receive from God through the word. But sometimes when I see some of the stuff going on, I'm just like, I can leave sometimes more discouraged than encouraged. Um, and the reason why I say this is because I feel like I had an advantage, like getting saved in a jail cell and being discipled in prison. And all of my Christian experience following Jesus has been in prison, pretty much all of it. To me, I think that's an advantage. And some people may say, like, bro, like you're trying to compare two different contexts. And I feel you, and that is true to a degree. You know what I mean? This ain't prison out here. This is the free world. This is society. I understand that. But the reason why I feel like it was an advantage, because in prison, like, bro, like it was organic Christianity, like life on life fellowship, man. Lived together, ate together. And even if we're in separate dorms, you know what I mean? Intentional about going to the chapel or going to the yard or just walking alongside of each other, discipling other guys, walking in our gifts and our calling, evangelizing, serving the community, loving on people. And man, I see God always, for me, God always leads me to look back at my prison experience and to take that as a template out here in society for everything that God's leading me and everyone who's serving it with Block Hustle to do out here, man, to try to keep Christianity as organic as possible, to where like we don't get caught up in the politics and we don't get caught up in like all the flashy lights and the Hollywood Western watered down evangelical Christianity. And once again, I'm not saying that to bust shots, but I think there definitely needs to be some things that have to be addressed, man. Um, so I feel like the measuring stick for Christian community, obviously apart from like the foundations of the gospel and of Christianity, like how that looks applicably, the measuring stick should be number one, like the desperate pursuit of Jesus, obviously, which I think falls like within the foundations of Christianity, but also too like discipleship. Like that should be like I think one of the biggest measuring sticks of any building, of any like Christian community is where is the discipleship? Like is there genuine life on life discipleship to where within this community, within this culture that we're creating as our Christian community, is that being intentionally taught and lived out? That we are living a life together outside of this building. Yeah, we may meet up here on this night throughout the week and Sunday mornings, but outside of this building, we live life together and that should be intentionally done. I feel like that's a measuring stick of Christian community, and that's intimate. And I'm not knocking big churches, um, but from my preference, and I think maybe from my perspective, I think smaller is better. So maybe for those big buildings, I think it would be super wise and intentional. I know most of them do who do it, like the small groups outside of the church. It should be small, man. So I think that discipleship is key. And then also too, man, I'm just simply put, bro, screw the building. Screw the building. Screw the TV. Screw all the special tech. I mean, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. But I feel like that can be done at a bare minimum. I feel like some of these problem churches, this is so much cost. It's so much money. And, it's just building an empire. And that's my problem. It's like the empire is like, it's their business, and that shouldn't what the concern should be. The concern should solely be the kingdom. It should be the people. And I feel like a lot of times, man, a lot of churches and organizations and pastors, they can just get caught up in the vision of the brand of the organization and marketing that and the business and the scaling and, having this huge empire. And it's like an idol. You know what I mean? Like that shouldn't be the main focus at all. Um, so man, that's just me venting today, man. I told you, hey, let me talk, bro. So once again, man, I don't have, solid concrete answers. I just want to keep it a buck, man, and just address address what I see since I've been home, and especially within ministry, within church. And I don't want to just throw shade or be critical or to condemn, but I address it because I know that God's primary call upon my life is pastoralship, is preaching and teaching the gospel. And I know as God leads me into that season, I'm just asking God for the wisdom of how it looks to where it can be, you know, biblical and organic and without all that extra tapestry. You know what I mean? To where obviously Christ, his kingdom, his glorification, and the salvation of lost souls and the edification of the church can genuinely be like the utmost priority. You know what I mean? And the discipleship of the people. So